Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store for products like the 5500K ring light, perfect for making YouTube videos. Affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and the other day I made a video about a report in the Washington Post saying that according to a CDC employee that there were going to be 7 banned words going forward for their 2018 budget report. Those words were stuff like science-based, evidence-based, transgender, diversity, vulnerability, and fetus. I mean, like, it feels weird. It feels weird. And I said in the video that, like, it's anonymous. We don't know how true it is. But you figure the Washington Post would be better than not in terms of reporting on it. Well, apparently it's not 100% true. It's kind of not even 100% false. Somewhere in the middle, and I think a lot of it's mostly due to a miscommunication. But it says here that the CDC director says there are no banned words at the agency. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Brenda Fitzgerald on Sunday addressed a report that President Donald Trump's administration had banned the CDC from using 7 words or phrases in next year's budget documents. Those terms were fetus, transgender, vulnerability, entitlement, diversity, evidence-based, and science-based, according to a story first reported on Friday in the Washington Post. And again, that blew up. A lot of people talked about it, myself, many other YouTubers. Because look, here's the thing. In Trump's America, it feels like this could be a reality. Yeah, you may not like me saying that, but that's absolutely how I take it. Everything that's happened this year, and it's not just like the media and Trump derangement syndrome. It is literally the lies, the provable, multiple lies that our president spews on a regular basis on Twitter and just in general. And so, yeah, you think after 10 months, this is something they might do because, well, you know what? Screw it. Why not? Not the most objective thing in the world for me to say that, and I don't care. This is one of those times where I am quite frankly sick and tired of the way that the administration handles itself. It conducts itself. So coming across a story like this does feel like it could be more realistic than not. And as I said, this is kind of one of those ones that falls in the half-truth section. Not necessarily real, not necessarily hashtag fake news. It goes on to say that, but Fitzgerald said in a series of tweets on Sunday that there are no banned words, while emphasizing the agency's commitment to data-driven science. Now, it's the banned words there you want to pay attention to. She goes on to say the CDC has a long-standing history of making public health and budget decisions that are based on the best available science and data for the benefit of all people, and we will continue to do so. And that's what we want. That's what everybody wants, which is why it's such a weird thing. Why these 7 words were being, well, targeted, right? I mean, and just looking at the ideas of where we currently stand in terms of, identity politics and culture warfare, and outrage on social media over what I feel is like almost every single little thing. Then you get to this point of where you can look at these words, these particular words, and go, oh yeah, I get it. Like, I get it. Again, it doesn't feel that far-fetched. It goes on to say that a group of the agency's policy analysts and senior officials at the CDC informed them about the banned words on Thursday, according to the Post's report. In some cases, the analysts were reportedly given replacement phrases to use instead. But in follow-up reporting, the New York Times cited a few CDC officials who suggested the move was not meant as an outright ban, but rather a technique to help secure Republican approval of the 2019 budget by eliminating certain words and phrases. And look, here's the thing. That is actually remarkably worse than just banning the words. That is actually remarkably worse. And I'll tell you why. It's worse because what it basically tells you is that the CDC, whoever these officials are, and again, since we're not having anyone coming out from the CDC in an official spokesperson capacity, this does have to be treated with a grain of salt, so let's go with that. But essentially, what this is saying is that the Republican administration are they're just huge snowflakes. They cannot handle these words. And if you say these words, given our current climate in a number of ways, they look at them as triggers, right? Because the horseshoe theory in motion is absolutely real. You see it on both sides. It's funny when you look at both sides and you're like, wow, you're both similar and freaking stupid. But that's pretty much what's going on here, is if they were saying that, and basically it feels like a miscommunication of how it was presented. So if it's not an outright ban, but like these are people inside the organization saying, these are some trigger words, what are some other words we can use? And I could just imagine someone raising their hand and going like, evidence-based and science-based, that's going to be a trigger to the Republican administration, and someone just going, yes, probably entirely. Absolutely. That's what our data is telling us. And again, look at how the Republicans handle anything involving, like abortion or anything involving that. You can see where this might be coming from. I'm sorry, I don't see any other way around it. You can see where this stuff is coming from. A spokesperson for the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the CDC, said the reported decree on banned words was a misrepresentation. The assertion that the HHS has banned words is a complete mischaracterization of discussions regarding budget formulation process, says Matt Lloyd, an agency spokesperson. The HHS will continue to use its best scientific evidence available to improve the health of all Americans. The HHS is also strongly encourages the use of outcome and evidence data in program evaluations and budget decisions. But some in the scientific community said that forbidding certain words that could help change the direction of policies at the CDC, the nation's top health agency. Going on to say, if you are saying that you cannot use words like transgender and diversity, it's a clear statement that you cannot pay attention to those issues, says Dr. Sandro Gallia, the dean of Boston's University School of Public Health, to the Associated Press. And again, I think that is far more of a good way of looking at this than anything else, right? Because people were coming out like the CDC is banning these words, and it's not. If the CDC is kind of self-banning these words because they don't want to, really kind of trigger the Trump administration, that would actually make a fair amount more of sense. Just because you look at this and you go like, yeah, I get it. These are hot topic issues. We hear report after report after report that Trump doesn't pay attention, that Trump wants it bulletin points, that Trump wants, very simplified, data, and he wants it handed to him in such an easily digestible package. And if that is to be believed, and this is to be believed, then we can look at a situation like this and go, yeah, there's a problem here. There's an absolute problem here, because what you're hearing, again, the original report said these words, were banned. These words you can't use. And then the New York Times went and talked to other CDC officials and were like, well, it's more or less, like kind of a suggestion, right? It's not really a rule. It's more like a guideline. It's just like, look, we don't want to trigger these people. We don't want to make them mad. We just would rather, make it easy for everybody. But if the doctor at the end there is to, if you look at what they're saying if you walk away from these terms, if you look at the term as transgender or diversity, and you treat that as a negative, you treat that as a word that is just no go. It's not a good word. What happens when you actually have to start looking into those particular topics? Because again, we are in this particular world right now where trans people are more prominent than ever before. We have multiple TV shows out there dealing with the subject matter, from Transparent on Amazon, and the two TLC shows. I think I Am Jazz and Call Me Caitlyn, or whatever the hell it is. I don't know what Caitlyn Jenner's particular show is, and you have all those shows. And if that is something that the Center for Disease Control is looking into, or at least something that they're going to be investigating or researching, and not being able to use that term does kind of throw it into the mix. Like, what would you say? Like, how would you replace transgender? No, they could sit there and say dissociative identity disorder and go back to the DID phrasing, which is accurate. It is. But then again, the common phrasing for it at this point is in fact transgender. Same thing goes with diversity. It depends on how they're going to be approaching the subject matter, and then how they would again go about trying to create an alternative term for that. That's what kind of frightens me here. It's like science should not be bogged down by identity politics. And I feel that this situation is not, and I've been pointing the finger at a lot of Republicans, but let's be realistic. I will be fully realistic here. It's not all their fault. It's not all their fault. The left has made these words buzzwords. They made them hot topic words. They have driven them into the ground in some respects. They have attacked anyone who like doesn't use them properly. I mean, like it's crazy. And that can transfer itself to the other side and have an equal but yet opposite response from the other side of the political coin. As I mentioned, horseshoe theory in motion. There's a lot of this stuff going on. So to look at the CDC situation, just to kind of wrap this whole thing up, because I know I've been going on for a while and I apologize. I would approach something like this and say, you know, like, no, I won't change the words. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Like, this is what science, research, and evidence has shown us. And this is what we have to go with. And if you don't like it, that's on you. But at the same time, they got to play politics. And this is where we are, politically speaking, in regards to some of these terms. It just makes me really sad for the future. You know what I mean? Anyway, if you guys liked the video, toss it a thumbs up. Be sure to leave your comments below. I am curious to see what you guys have to say about this. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share the video around, and if for some reason you do want to see more videos from me, you can do so right now.